Hello from Boston School Forest. Today I'd like to introduce you to our red-eared slider turtle. His name is Bubbles. Bubbles came to us about 20 years ago, so he's got to be at least 20 years old. And he's a red-eared slider turtle, and they're not native to Wisconsin. They're actually a pet that you could buy at a pet store, and that's probably what happened to Bubbles, is that someone had him when he was little and adorable, and then he got bigger, and well, they probably got bored with him and found somewhere else for him to live, and that was here at Boston School Forest. So Bubbles has an important role as an educator animal. He is an example of a reptile, and why don't we get a closer look? As a reptile, he has scaly skin. His scaly skin is a little wet right now because I just took him out of the water. And as you can see, he's got those red marks right by the sides of where his ears might be. That's why he's called a red-eared slider turtle. He's got a beautiful markings on his shell. This part is called the carapace. This bottom part is called the plastron. He's got very sharp, oh, now he's tucked him back in, very sharp claws for moving around the banks of like a river or a shoreline, and also for like laying eggs. They can also dig into the ground for laying eggs. Although they don't have any teeth, they do have a very sharp beak, and one of Bubbles' favorite foods in the whole wide world are worms. He lives here in his aquarium. He's got a couple different basking opportunities. He's got one that's on one of his filters here, some rocks, and then a light that goes on every day that helps to keep his shell nice and strong. He does have a tail too. He's got it all tucked in though, so he doesn't want to show you his tail. His back feet also, in addition to those claws, have webbing on them, which helps him to swim pretty quickly through the water. So let's go ahead and see if Bubbles is hungry this morning. I just so happen to have some of the worms. Oh, there he goes. Moving behind the rock. See if you're hungry. Here you go, Bubbles. So see if I can move you in a little closer and catch a look at what he might do with that. Oh, I guess the worm is right underneath you. You're stepping on it. Well, some people ask, why don't we release Bubbles into the pond? Well, he's lived in an aquarium his whole life. Sometimes it's hard for him to even find those worms, so he probably wouldn't be able to find very much food out in our pond. Besides, he's not native to Wisconsin, so we wouldn't want to put an animal that isn't supposed to be here out into the environment because it'll affect other things. Go ahead, take it. You can do it. Reach out with that neck. Grab at that worm. He's like, everybody's looking at me. I'm camera shy. Or he's not hungry, one or the other. We make sure we come in at least once a week to feed all of our animals that are here. We clean out his aquarium once every other week or once a month, depending on how dirty it gets. Just like all other animals, our turtles gotta poop. But for the most part, the filter takes care of that. Ooh, maybe he's gonna get it. The suspense is killing me. Oh, maybe he's not hungry. In the wintertime, he does slow down quite a bit. Not that he's ever hibernated before, but he eats a lot less in the winter. But now we're getting on to spring and more daylight. Not that he has a temperature change, because he lives inside of Elkie Lodge all year round. But he certainly can tell that there's more sunlight coming in. There, he gotcha. Turtles are what we call ectothermic, which means that they don't generate their own heat. Instead, their body temperature fluctuates to that and changes to that of the surrounding. So whatever temperature the water is what his body temperature is going to be. Now he can do some things like behaviorally, like he can prop himself up on those rocks right under the light and warm up even more. But ultimately, he can't make his own heat. Sometimes we call that cold-blooded. Well, I hope you enjoyed this interview with Bubbles, our red-eared slider education critter. It's pretty neat to have a reptile here to be able to show the kids at Boston School Forest.